Hey folks, this is Console Crew, and today we're going to be talking about how Xbox Live is changing its name. Also, is the PS3 and Vita store permanently closing? And joining you, as always, is Jordan, the Xbox expert.
Yo.
And the PlayStation Pro and birthday Bloodborne boy, Tamoor Hussein.
Lucy, did you get a haircut today? You look very nice.
I decided to keep the stubble and shave.
I
thought it would give me a little grit. And as you would know,
yeah,
thanks.
Into it.
As you know, me, Lucy James, is in fact going to be somebody else named Kurt Indovina. Hope you like it. Deal with it. Jordan Ramey, you're the Xbox creature in this room. Let's talk about how Xbox Live is turning into Xbox Network. Tell me more.
Xbox creature.
Creature.
I love that. I love that a lot.
Creature.
Xbox
Come from your
Live.
cage and let it out.
It's like, oh yes, it's time to talk about Xbox today. Xbox Live's name is changing to Xbox Network, but Xbox Live Gold isn't going away. Like, that service is just, it's kind of like the whole EA Live, EA Play thing where they were trying to separate the names back in the day. Xbox is being like, look, Xbox Network is like the overarching service, and Xbox Live Gold is specifically the thing that you pay for to play games online. And to kind of add on to this story, very like recently, or I guess recently for us since we're recording this on Wednesday, again, who knows what thing is going to happen tomorrow on Thursday or Friday morning that will make this episode obsolete like always. But Xbox insiders are saying that they're currently testing a few new services behind the scenes before they go on to the general audience, including not needing Xbox Live Gold for multiplayer and free-to-play games, or looking for groups or party chat, which, honestly, I feel like Xbox should have done that years ago.
Yeah, it's surprising that we're just getting there. Xbox seems to be like so forward-thinking in so many ways that it feels like I thought this was all already in there at this point. Like I had to be reminded by this to be like, oh, all right, yeah, they don't have that right now. So the fact that they're adding it is like long overdue. I hope it rolls out quickly. I hope it rolls out smoothly. Let's keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox has been in this, as we know, has been in like transitional kind of adapting to its new identity for a couple of years now, and I think it's about time. I think, you know, the Xbox Live name goes away as it turns into this Xbox Network, which makes a whole lot more sense with what they're trying to accomplish. It makes a whole lot more sense when it's trying to focus more on Game Pass, obviously, and its certain services, rather than leaning into what it was in the first place, which was like the online chit chat machine. Now it's like the online everybody together network machine.
Yeah, so it's not all that much is changing. They're just kind of delineating it better. And, you know, they said that the network part of it, like Jordan mentioned, refers to the underlying service. And that's been updated in the agreement. And then the Xbox Live part of it is just distinguishes that from like the gold membership stuff, which is like, I get it. Okay, not a lot is going to change for us. Whoop-de-doo.
How do you, here, let me throw this question. Like, Jordan, how do you think, like having it taken so long to get here, like what do you think the next steps are in them trying to create this network thing? Like, what's the thing? Like, how do you think this is going to differ, if at all, from what PlayStation's doing with its PS Plus and its services and all that jazz?
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's gonna have to be all that different. Like, this is kind of one of those basic services that people have just wanted for a while. Like the ability to play something like Fortnite or Apex Legends, something that's already free without having to pay something else on top of that, and which is just honestly just a service that, again, Xbox should have had all this time. It's something that I think the whole name change thing is weird, but also I think the further they kept going without doing a name change, the weirder it would have gotten. So this is kind of just one of those pull the band-aid off moments in hopes that people are like, look, just new console generation, new us, try to understand that Xbox Network and Xbox Live Gold are two completely different things, even though they kind of overlap in a couple of ways. I assume at some point we're going to be getting a bit more insight into the actual differences there, and I know that there's all those rumors swirling around that's like, oh, Discord might be being bought by someone. Wouldn't it be cool if Xbox was the one buying them? I'm not sure if I necessarily buy into that, but it does kind of open the idea that, oh, if Xbox Network and Xbox Live Gold are two completely different things, then it's like, oh, we can do our pay for these types of services under the Xbox Live Gold membership, and then everything that's kind of like that you would expect when you pay $500 for a new console, those just kind of exist for free on this machine, provided you have a stable internet connection, which makes sense, I think.
In terms of games as well, I imagine there's a lot of publishers and developers now that are very excited because, you know, it makes business sense. Games like Apex, games like, you know, Fortnite, the stuff where they have like MMO free trials, the stuff where you can get in and then spend more money. It's way more enticing to people now. They're probably like, you know, Respawn and Epic are like, great, now there's literally no barrier on the Xbox. No one really has to pay for a live subscription. They get in, they're more likely to spend money on more likely to buy Ryu for Fortnite and shoot Peely in the face with an actual assault rifle instead of with his Hadoukens. And, you know, that's probably great.
You sound so excited to get into Fortnite, Tam.
It's like whenever, it's the same equivalent as when Batman shoots guns. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, but wait till they throw a Bloodborne Hunter in there.
Bloodborne Hunter can shoot guns, so
I know. I'd
be into that. But like Ryu shooting guns, what's going on? What is this world?
Speaking of growing pains, other things are changing. Tam, take it away.
What's happening to me? Oh no, you're talking about PlayStation. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not 100% confirmed. There's been a report floating around over this week that the PlayStation stores, the legacy PlayStation stores, the one for the PlayStation 3, Vita, and Portable, may be sunsetted, and the content that kind of is on there will no longer be purchasable. Again, unconfirmed. Sony hasn't really addressed this specific rumor. But I guess the discussion around that is what it means for PlayStation, what it means for people who are on those platforms, and to a large degree, game preservation. And, you know, game preservation's a big deal for a lot of people. I guess, you know, we have another big story from the week was a kind of group has dumped a bunch of data, like 80 gigabytes worth of data as part of Project Deluge, which is effectively like prototypes and early gameplay demos and, you know, like developer versions of games like God Hand and Crash and Prince of Persia and a whole bunch of those, like a whole bunch of those games. But for me, I think for us, the more immediate discussion is basically, if this is true, Sony has created kind of like this black hole in a large part of their history, and everything from pre-PlayStation 4 is going to get sucked into it, never to be accessible again for a large group of people. So I guess the question is, how do you feel about that? I'm bummed out about it, mainly because Sony has shown very little interest in preserving its own legacy, which is not a big deal, but even making it accessible is they're pretty weak at it. You know, there's been quotes previously where Jim Ryan says nobody cares about old games at all, and he's right, people aren't really buying them. But at the same time, you know, if this happens, no one will be able to download Metal Gear Acid from the PlayStation Store, or, you know, what happens when I want to play God Hand and there's no physical copies available, and I don't want to get my PS2 out.
I actually just ran into this problem approaching the Resident Evil 25th anniversary, because I don't own a PS1 or PS2 or even my PS3 anymore. And on my PS3 specifically, I actually had all the original 6 Resident Evil games purchased from that from the PSN on that console. And recently I thought, I was like, oh, I'll just pop on my PS5. I'm sure it'll be there. I'm sure I'll be able to play them. And they weren't. There was no way to be able to get the PS1 versions of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3. I mean, of course, Resident Evil 4 has been released 8 million times, so that's not a big deal. But I've just experienced this in this week, being like, hold on, how am I going to get these? Am I going to have to get a PS3 again? Do I have to go buy a PS2 and do the good old backwards compatible thing? So, I mean, I've read once that a developer compared developing games to writing their legacy in the sand, and every single time like one of these stories happens, it kind of like that like flushes back over me, being like, yep, there it is, there it goes. So, yeah.
But it's one of those difficult things. Like from a business perspective, it's like, oh, I can kind of understand why you wouldn't want to devote resources to preserving all of this. Like if preserving previous generations of games was like what gamers wanted most, then Xbox would be dominating every aspect of every console generation. But Nintendo and PlayStation have proven it's like, oh no, people want new experiences to buy for their consoles. But at the same time, like you said, like there's like a tragedy to the aspect of losing out on being able to go back and play these games. And admittedly, like if you find the physical copies of them, then yeah, you can buy it like that. But physical copies are going to skyrocket in price if these stores are actually closing. Again, we have no idea if any of this is confirmed or not. I mean, hopefully if it does come out, Sony PlayStation gives like a bit of a heads up. Like in the Gamers article, they're like, which I think is funny, like the PSP and PS3 are July 2nd, and PS Vita with Life is surviving all the way to August 27th. So it'd be nice to have like a month, 2 months heads up, just so that people have time to prepare for it. But we'll see.
I just wish Sony gave even just a modicum of a about their library. Like they just do not care one bit. And I mean, like I play games everywhere, and for the purpose of the show, I'm the PlayStation expert. So like I appreciate a lot of what Sony does. I do not appreciate its absolute recklessness when it comes to maintaining its back catalog. And then like I find PlayStation now borderline offensive, like because they create this like platform and this streaming service, and here's some. I'm gonna have to bleep that out because it makes me angry. But like, here's some garbage. Like we've chucked a couple of Rockstar games on it, and like just piss off now. It feels so aggressive, like, and feels so like it feels so like throwaway. Like they don't update it, they don't add new games to it, they don't. There's no PlayStation 1 games on there as far as I know. Metal Gear Solid 4 is a game that has been trapped on the PlayStation 3, and you know, there's been, I don't know, maybe it's behind the scenes, but like that seems like an easy one to be like, we managed to get it for PlayStation now because it's literally not playable in any other way unless you've got a thing. Like, put some of your games on there, even if they're first party games. It's like, why does PlayStation now exist other than to be like, yeah, we've got one of those streaming digital things and no one uses it. And the thing is, like, there's no, you're right, if the business sense isn't there, like if there's no business reason to do it, there's no if you see that people are like not paying for nostalgic stuff, then it does not make sense. And I agree with that. But at least put in the effort to give people something that they might consider paying. It's not like if you roll up and you're like, hey, I've got this empty can of Coke. Do you want it? No one's gonna buy that from you. Like, no one's give them something to be excited about. If all the Metal Gear games came out digitally on the PlayStation Store, I would buy that in an instant. Everyone would buy that in an instant. But if you keep putting like Hot Shots Tennis, no one cares about Hot Shots Tennis, Sony, or whatever, Hot Shots Golf, whatever it may be. I mean, I care about Hot Shots Golf. It's a great game. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they put nothing out there. They create no enticing like opportunities. They don't invite people. They don't like promote it, and then they're like, nobody cares. It's like, yeah, you've given them no reason to care.
It would be interesting to see if PlayStation would have more success with its nostalgic titles if it had something similar to Xbox Game Pass, where it's like, here's all these like Metal Gear games that you can just play because you've already paid this $15 a month fee, and people would be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just download it and try it. I've heard people talk about this game and I'm curious to see what it's all about.
I think the last thing, even when they do try to do it, even when they try to lead into it, we get stuff like the PlayStation Classic, and that was like not
good.
I mean, like, it wasn't good, but you know what? Given the quality of everything else that they do, I am glad they did that, because I know that I have this device, which is a novelty, and it's got some good games on there. And if you do not endorse this, but if you are savvy enough, you can put more good games on there.
I considered getting it recently just because of Resident Evil and Tekken 3.
But like,
and then I was like,
what we're saying,
I might as well just buy the actual PS1 off eBay and the original discs and call it a day.
And the thing is, like, we care about the legacy of PlayStation. We care about those old games. Loads of people too. I wish Sony cared as much as we cared. Or I wish they would at least make a sustained effort to show that we care. Or like, definitively find out whether people are going to put their money where their mouth is by giving them things that, like, it make them think about buying. Give them nostalgic old games that they want, instead of stuff that is like, no, nobody really wants this. Like, don't give them CD tier games and then go, well, nobody buys these. It's because nobody wants that.
How else will they greenlight all of the remasters and remakes, though, Tam?
And that's the other part of it. Like, the strategy I see them doing is like, oh no, God of War Ragnarok is out. We've packaged all the God of War games into this one bundle, which you can now purchase for a full price. That's what I see them doing. But you know what? Just get rid of the PlayStation Now icon on my dashboard, because nobody cares. Nobody uses it. It's garbage and you know it. Everybody knows it. Just get rid of it.
And there we have it for this week's hot All right, and that is all we got for this week's episode of Console Crew. Please, apparently we have a lot of opinions about some of the things that are going on. PlayStation, we're talking about you. If you have your own opinions, which I'm sure you do, leave them in the comments, because we read them, we check them out. We want to know what you think. Anyways, this is it. I'm Kurt, not Lucy James. Join with me is your friends, Jordan and Tamoor. And tune in next week to see if Lucy James will return. You won't see me, I promise.